Dignified, I shot back, the anger finally flaring hot in my chest. You mean silent? You mean a service where her actual personality was scrubbed clean so none of the church ladies would clutch their pearls? That's not dignity, Jessica. That's erasure. There was a choked sound on the other end of the line, a mix of a sob and a gasp. When she spoke again, her voice was low and venomous, stripped of all its earlier hysteria. You have no idea what you've done. You weren't here at the end. You don't know anything. Mom was just trying to protect you. Protect me? I laughed, a bitter, ugly sound. Protect me from what, Jessica? From my own grief? From having an opinion? Don't try to spin this into some noble act. She didn't want me there because I'm an embarrassment to her perfect life. There was a long, shuddering breath on the other end of the line. When Jessica spoke again, her voice was broken, all the fury gone, replaced by a raw exhaustion that stunned me into silence. No, Chloe. She was trying to protect you from what Grandma said. I frowned, confused. What are you talking about? What did Grandma say? The last 2 days, she was in and out of lucidity. Jessica's voice was barely a whisper, but about an hour before she passed, she woke up. She was completely clear. Mom was in the room and I was there. She looked right at Mom. And Chloe, she was so angry. My heart started to pound in a slow, heavy rhythm. She fought for you, Jessica said, and now she was openly weeping. She told Mom she was a fool for trying to file down your edges your whole life. She said, "The brightest things have the sharpest corners, and you've been trying to make her dull and safe since the day she was born." She said she was ashamed of her. Then she said that if we didn't let you be at her funeral, in all your tattooed, messy, glorious humanity, that she would haunt us. Those were her words, Chloe. I will haunt you. The world tilted on its axis. Every piece of the puzzle rearranged itself in my mind, forming a picture I had never imagined. My mother's fear, the desperate need to control the narrative. You'll make a scene. She wasn't afraid of the scene I would make. She was terrified that my very presence would be a testament to the scene Grandma had already made. She didn't want me there as a living, breathing reminder of her own mother's final damning judgment. She wasn't trying to protect me. She was trying to protect herself from the truth. She forbade Mom from telling you, Jessica continued, her voice thick. She said you didn't need to be burdened by her fighting your battles at the very end. She wanted you to remember her on the porch swing, not like that. So Mom twisted it. She made it about you, about your emotions, because she couldn't bear for it to be about her and her failures as a mother. I went along with it because it was easier. And I'm so sorry, Chloe. I'm so sorry I hung up the phone. The triumph I'd felt earlier was gone, replaced by a wave of love so fierce and painful it took my breath away. My letter, my dramatic gesture at the funeral, it was a pale imitation of the real final act. My grandmother had fought for me. She had seen me, truly seen me, right to the very end. My mother hadn't silenced me. She had tried and failed to silence my grandmother. I walked over to the framed photo on my wall, the one of me and Grandma on the porch swing. I looked at her soft, knowing smile, and for the first time I understood its depth. She wasn't just smiling at my laughter, she was smiling with the quiet confidence of someone who knew my heart, who loved every piece of it, and who would defend it to her last breath. My letter hadn't been an attack. It had been an echo of a love that was louder than any of my family's silence. And in the quiet of my apartment, I finally felt at peace. I didn't need to be at her funeral. She had already given me the most perfect goodbye. The email landed in my inbox like a bomb, and $17,482 invoice for my best friend's engagement gala. But what truly made my blood run cold wasn't the outrageous cost. It was seeing my own name listed as the responsible party. The email landed in my inbox like a bomb. The subject line was deceptively simple. Final invoice. Chloe and Ben's engagement gala. I almost deleted it, assuming it was a misdirected email from a vendor meant for the happy couple. Curiosity, however, got the better of me. Chloe, my friend of 10 years, had always been a bit disorganized. Maybe she'd used my email as a backup. I clicked it open, a fond, slightly exasperated smile on my face. The smile vanished instantly. My eyes scanned the PDF attachment. The venue was the Celestial Gardens, a ridiculously opulent place with fountains and marble statues that Chloe had insisted upon. There were line items for everything: artisanal ice sculptures, a string quartet, a champagne tower that cost more than my first car. But it wasn't the absurd extravagance that made my blood run cold. It was the total at the bottom, $17,482.37. And right above it, under the bolded heading, Responsible Party, was my full legal name. My breath caught in my throat. This had to be a mistake, a typo, a clerical error of catastrophic proportions. I wasn't even at the party. I couldn't go. 2 weeks before the big event, I got a call that my mom had been rushed to the hospital for emergency surgery. It was serious touch and go for a few days. I'd immediately texted our group chat, a flurry of panicked messages explaining that I was flying home and wouldn't be back for weeks. I specifically told Chloe I had to pull out of all bridesmaid duties and obviously wouldn't be at the engagement party. I remember her reply vividly, a short, almost clipped text. OMG, feel better, tell your mom I'm thinking of her. We'll miss you. We'll miss you. Not, we'll miss your wallet, apparently. I scrolled through the invoice again, my hands starting to shake. My name, my address. They even had my phone number listed. This wasn't an accident. They had deliberately given the venue my information as the sole person responsible for a nearly $18,000 bill. A party that celebrated my supposed best friend, a party I missed because my mother was fighting for her life in an ICU 3 states away. Rage, hot and pure, began to bubble up, eclipsing the shock. I pulled up the group chat, my thumbs flying across the screen. I attached a screenshot of the invoice, highlighting my name and the astronomical total. "Can someone please explain to me what this is?" I typed. "Why is my name on a bill for a party I didn't even attend?" The responses trickled in slowly. Liam sent a single wide-eyed emoji. Maya texted, "Whoa, that's weird." Then came the message from the bride-to-be herself, Chloe. Her response wasn't an apology. It wasn't an explanation of a misunderstanding. It was a single, chillingly casual sentence that made the floor drop out from beneath me. "Oh, that? Yeah, we figured since you backed out last minute, you could cover the deposits we lost. It's only fair. It's only fair." The words burned on my phone screen, searing themselves into my brain. Fair? I was sitting in a sterile hospital waiting room, running on 3 hours of sleep and lukewarm coffee, while my mother was recovering from a surgery that had a 50-50 chance of success. And Chloe, my friend since we were awkward teenagers with braces, thought it was fair to bill me for a party. I felt a laugh bubble up in my chest, a hysterical, broken sound that earned me a concerned look from a nurse walking by. My thumbs moved with a speed I didn't know they possessed, firing a message back into the group chat for all to see. "My mother was in the ICU, Chloe. That's why I backed out. Are you actually out of your mind? And explain to me mathematically how one guest not attending equates to over $17,000 in lost deposits? What deposit did you lose? The deposit on my specific chair? Crickets." The chat, once buzzing with exclamation points and heart emojis about the party, went utterly dead. Liam's wide-eyed emoji looked like a tombstone. Maya's profile picture stared back, the message clearly marked as "Read." Their silence was deafening. It was a verdict. A few minutes later, a private message from Chloe appeared. The notification made me flinch. "You're making this about you, which is so typical," it began. "This was supposed to be the happiest time of our lives, and you added a ton of stress. We put your name on the initial booking form as a bridesmaid contact because you were the responsible one, remember? You promised you'd help with everything. When you just abandoned us, it was too late to change the paperwork. We figured you'd want to do the right thing and cover it since you couldn't be there." "Abandon them?" I felt like I was in an alternate reality. I had never signed a single thing. I had offered to help stuff envelopes, not to underwrite a party that could finance a small country. Before I could even formulate a reply that didn't involve a string of curses, another message popped up. This one was from Ben, her fiancé. I'd always found him quiet but decent. His message shattered that illusion into a million pieces. It wasn't a plea or an explanation. It was a threat, cold and clinical. Chloe is too upset to discuss this further. Let's be adults. Your name is on the contract with the venue as the primary financial guarantor. We have texts of you agreeing to be a key part of the planning. If you fail to settle the invoice by the due date, the Celestial Gardens will pursue legal action against you directly. We advise you to pay it promptly to avoid damage to your credit score and further complications. My heart hammered against my ribs. Primary financial guarantor? It was a lie, a monstrous lie. But his words were so confident, so final. And then I saw it. Attached to his message was a file, a JPEG. My finger trembled as I tapped it open. It was a scanned copy of the venue contract. There were 3 signature lines at the bottom. I saw Chloe's loopy, self-important signature, then Ben's sharp, angular one, and then, on the 3rd line, I saw a forgery of my own signature. It was clumsy, clearly faked, but it was there, a digital ghost damning me to a debt I never incurred. The world narrowed to the poorly photoshopped signature on my screen. It wasn't just a betrayal anymore. It was a crime, forgery, fraud. They hadn't just been cruel and entitled. They had crossed a line into blatant illegality, confident that I would be too scared or too grief-stricken to fight back. They were wrong. A strange calm washed over me, pushing aside the panicked fury. This was their declaration of war, and I had no intention of losing. I stood up from the uncomfortable waiting room chair and walked to a quieter corner of the hospital hallway, my phone clutched in my hand like a weapon. My mom was a fighter. She was sleeping soundly in her room down the hall, recovering from the fight of her life. I owed it to her and to myself to fight this. I ignored the string of new messages pinging from Chloe, likely filled with more guilt-tripping and gaslighting. I was done communicating with them. From now on, I would only communicate with people who mattered. I found the number for the Celestial Gardens online. My heart pounded as I dialed, my voice carefully rehearsed in my head. A cheerful receptionist answered. I kept my tone level and professional. "Hello," I said. "I'm calling about invoice number 7432. My name is on the invoice as the responsible party, but there seems to be a significant error. I believe my identity has been used without my authorization." The receptionist's cheerful demeanor faltered. "Oh, I see. Let me transfer you to our billing department. I was put on hold listening to a saccharine string quartet version of a pop song. A moment later, a stern-sounding woman named Brenda picked up. I repeated my statement. Brenda was less surprised. "Ma'am," she said, her voice dripping with practiced condescension, "we have a signed contract on file with your signature as the financial guarantor. If you have an issue with the other signatories, Chloe and Ben, you'll need to take that up with them. The bill is due in 14 days. I understand your position, I said, my voice dangerously sweet. However, the signature on that contract is a forgery. This is now a matter of fraud. Before I file a police report and my own lawyer gets involved, I'd like to forward all my documentation to your legal counsel. Could you please provide me with their contact information?" There was a sharp intake of breath on the other end of the line. The word fraud had done its job. Brenda's condescending tone evaporated, replaced by one of cautious alarm. She gave me the email address for their head of legal, a man named Marcus Thorne. I hung up and immediately began composing an email. The subject line was clear. Urgent. Suspected fraud regarding invoice number 7432. In the body, I laid out the facts, cold and emotionless. I explained I was not in attendance due to a documented family medical emergency. I stated that I never signed any contract or agreed to be financially responsible. I attached everything: the invoice, my text to the group chat explaining my mother's surgery, Chloe's insane "it's only fair" message, Ben's threatening text, and the pièce de résistance, the image of the forged contract he had so foolishly sent me. I hit send. A wave of terrifying, exhilarating finality washing over me. I had set the bomb. Now I just had to wait. I didn't have to wait long. Less than 10 minutes later, my phone buzzed with a new email. It wasn't an auto reply. It was from Marcus Thorne himself. The message contained only one line. Thank you for bringing this to our attention. Please do not contact the couple. Await my call within the hour. The phone buzzed in my hand precisely 47 minutes later. The caller ID was blocked. I took a deep breath and answered. Hello? Miss Davis? This is Marcus Thorne, legal counsel for the Celestial Gardens. His voice was exactly as I'd imagined, deep, calm, and utterly devoid of nonsense. I have reviewed the documentation you sent. Frankly, it's one of the more clear-cut cases of contractual fraud I have seen in some time. The signature on our contract is a laughable forgery, and the digital evidence you provided from the couple confirms their intent. Let me be unequivocally clear. You are not responsible for this invoice. A wave of relief, so profound it made my knees weak, washed over me. I had to lean against the wall for support. Thank you, I breathed. On the contrary, thank you for your promptness, he continued, a new, harder edge to his voice. We take our reputation and our legal agreements very seriously. We will be pursuing the full amount from Chloe and Ben directly. Furthermore, given the fraudulent nature of their actions, we will be informing them that their future wedding booking with us has been cancelled, and their initial deposit, as per the fraud clause in our contract, is forfeit. Do not engage with them any further. Is that understood? Understood, I said, a slow, vindicated smile spreading across my face. Completely. We hung up, and for a moment I just stood there, letting the silence of the hospital hallway feel like a victory. Not 5 minutes later, my phone began to blow up. A call from Chloe. I let it go to voicemail. A call from Ben. I declined it. Then came the barrage of texts, a waterfall of panicked, misspelled rage. "You ruined my wedding!" one from Chloe screamed. "They are canceling everything because of you! You owe us the deposit!" The sheer, unmitigated audacity was almost impressive. I didn't reply. I just screenshotted their frantic messages for my records, a little collection of their self-immolation. The final nail in the coffin came an hour later, not from them, but in the group chat. It was from Maya. "Guys, just heard from Chloe's mom," her text read. "The Celestial Gardens canceled their whole wedding. They're keeping the deposit and are threatening to press charges for fraud if they don't pay the engagement party bill in full by Friday. Chloe is a wreck." Liam replied with a single brutal word: "Good." The rest of the group chat remained silent. I typed out my last ever message to them, attached the screenshot of Chloe's "It's only fair" text, and wrote, "She's right. It is only fair. Goodbye, everyone." Then I blocked Chloe, Ben, and left the group chat forever. I felt a weight I hadn't even realized I was carrying lift from my shoulders. I had not just dodged a financial bullet, I had excised a decade-long toxic friendship like a surgeon removes a tumor. I put my phone on silent, tucked it into my pocket, and walked back to my mom's room. The sun was streaming through the window, and she was awake, smiling weakly at me. I sat down and took her hand. The drama was over. All that mattered was right here.